All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morness. Good morness. Good morness. Two different things. Yeah. Yes. Good morness isn't just a substitute for morning. Good morness is never mind. Here's Bina. Never mind. Here's Bina. What perfect timing. I started Bina knowing that you've got some internet issues. They're busy redoing the whole internet there in Pakistan. Uh, yeah, well, it's a long story, but
Yes.
so Bina thought, oh, well, you'll be here, and here you are. But since you are here now, I did want
Oh,
to
yes.
share something while I share, while I do all the sharing, I want to share something as well. All right, I've got that all started, and I've got record going. Right, it is recording. Yes. All right. Very good. And grain is here. Everything is good. But I still got to share it, from it, it goes to my timeline as the default. And then I have to, from there, share it to group and then share it to the page as well and share it to the guide in group, add it to featured. So it's a lot of clicks. But I was thinking about something yesterday. It was kind of at an odd time. I was waiting for pizza. That's what I was doing. And just thinking about love, yeah, and loving people in particular, right? And when we think about this, most people think, that I'm not lovable because, well, I'm not this, or you love me because of this. That's not real love to me. If I love you, that's nothing to do with you. You say, what? How can it have nothing to do with me? No. Real love, I'm loving because I choose to, not because of qualities you have. It's nothing to do with your qualities. It's an act of sharing a positive, wonderful emotion. It's an act of appreciation, enjoyment, enthrallment, etc. This is a choice we make. If my love is based on your qualities, well, then that starts to become contractual, not real love. That's typical what it is, but that's not to me real love. Real love is a choice that is one-sided. It emanates from me. I do it because I can. I do it because I want to. It's my choice. Everybody is lovable. All depends on us. All depends on us. Yeah. I mean, even you go back to worst people in the world. Somebody loved them. There was a Mrs. Hitler. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, Bina, they don't know that there was a Mrs. Hitler. And she wasn't Mrs. Hitler right up on
Mhm.
just till before the end, right? Ava Brown, his longtime mistress, but they got married right before they committed suicide, right there in the bunker before things were. She stuck with him through it all, even when things were going downhill and that she had plenty of opportunity to leave, but she didn't. Huh? She stuck with him. So everybody can be loved, even Hitler. It's quite amazing. And we might say, well, she stuck with us because she didn't have a choice, or she was afraid. We don't know that. And from all reports, and either history and people that were there at the time, they really did say that that she really did love him. She really did. It wasn't just that she was there because she was powerful or this or that, or there was advantage to her or something like that. No, she really did. So again, whether it is so or not, that's not the only example. There's plenty other examples like this. It's a wonderful thing, though, when we have this awareness that, there's that old saying, love is blind. Because when we choose to love, we we love because we're choosing to. And as such, our perception can get distorted on the other person. Yes? I mean, typically people you love, their foibles, their quirks, their indulgences, their bad habits, bad attitudes, all their nonsense, right? It just falls by the wayside. It doesn't really matter. Yeah? It can, of course, it can have an influence, but now you're reacting to the thing itself, separate from your love. Huh? It's just important to understand this to me, that when we understand that we love because we choose to, because we can. Very, very different logic. Yes, Veena? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
It's not, I just to
Because
add to that.
everybody has their own perspective. So yes.
Right. But, it's a very nuanced perspective here. And because I'm bringing in choice, deliberateness, ability. This is a skill as far as I'm concerned, the ability to truly, capital L, love. Not what we typically call love, which is a contractual arrangement. I love you because you got a nice smile or whatever, No, this is not, to me, real love. Real love has nothing to do with the other person. I love you because I choose to, end of story. And as such, there's the magic that comes from it. Now, of course, some people are easier to choose to love than others. Yeah? So we mustn't confuse the fact that, some people, I don't really have to make much of an effort. It just happens and it's there. It's fluid. It's easy. It's a joy. Others, I got to put a bit of effort into it. I got to put a bit of work into it. But when you really do make that effort and you do have that ability and you train yourself and you practice it and you understand what's going on, after a while, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of choice, right? Do I wish to spend this energy here or not? Yeah. So I can love anyone at all. I choose not to because I don't have the energy to love in the way when I'm loving somebody. I don't have the energy to do that for everybody. Yeah, I've got a general love for everybody. But specifically, no, not necessarily, right? Because it takes effort and energy and it's a big investment. It's a very big investment. But it's good to be aware. It's good to be aware. Does this make sense, Bina?
Yes.
No. I know. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes.
I think so. I think so. Anyway, anything that you have to add, Bina? I'm keen to
No,
know what you
nothing
think
like
on
this.
this. Any comments on what I have to say?
Everybody
None at
has
all?
their
How does it
everybody
work for
has their
you?
own perspective on love.
Yes, that's the magic of it
I'm
too.
saying that okay, everybody has
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. It's a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing. But I feel it's very good to be aware, what it's all about. And have this deeper connection to it. Like I say, my view here, I feel is a very sophisticated view and one that requires, some element of well, not just discipline, but effort, awareness, discernment, sobriety, and all sorts of things from us as individuals, right? It does require us to do something, yeah, and that's I call it, to me, it's a skill, or you could maybe say it's an accomplishment. Yes, right?
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's an ability. Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, we have we could say fairly naturally the ability to be enamored or to get attached to others, because this we have from babies already, right? And that's
Hmm.
part of our survival mechanism. So a baby's love for its parent, is that real absolute love, or is that just survival? See, that to
Mm-hmm.
me, if the baby didn't have that positivity, then the parents might not be that inclined to look after it, or anybody for that matter. See, so that positivity that a baby puts out, we have to take it with a bit of a grain of salt, because there's something in it for the baby. Yeah. Well, it's like my cat and my
Yes.
dog. Do they really love me, or am I just a provider of sustenance? Yeah. And you see a lot of times, when the pets can find something else elsewhere, and off they go. They don't care about you anymore, right? So it's not necessarily what it appears to be. Yeah? When there's nothing in it for the baby, in other words, when they grow up, if they still choose to have that positivity, all right, now it's different. Well, how often does that last? Typically not. Yeah. So it's when you look at it in that context, we start to see things differently. As soon as we remove the contractualness out of relationships, and particularly when it comes to something like love, when we remove the contractual aspect, now we start to get to capital L love. To me, capital L love can only be with pure choice. Pure choice. No, because I have to. No, because there's some material benefit in it for me, or etc. That's contractual. That's a whole different thing, right? No, pure love has nothing to do with what you get out of it, other than love. Yeah, and you may not even get anything out of that. You still love. It may even be not in the ordinary sense. You may get a lot of nonsense coming your way, a lot of bother, a lot of hassle, a lot of fuss, a lot of negativity. I mean, I'm sure with Ava Brown, she got a lot of not so niceness coming her way as a result of that love, right? Maybe he was nice to her and horrible to everybody else. That's not uncommon either, in relationships. But still, just externally, she would have had to put up with a lot, right? The whole situation, what he's doing, or et cetera, et cetera. I mean, she didn't appear to share his ideology from all accounts, right? She might have, but not at least to the fervor and obsession that he had. I mean, it didn't seem like she was a murderous person, genocidal person and racist and all that. She had any of that in her makeup. Yeah. But when we look at this, she's putting up with a lot in order to love, right? And that's the magic of love, that we are able to shift our perspective. And this is the beauty and magic and wonder of love, that it is a profound perspective shifting mechanism. Bina, what do you think? I mean, share what you think, Bina. I mean, I'm not looking for agreement. I'm looking for perspective. You may have an entirely different view and say, no, that doesn't work for me. For me, love is this, that. I don't know. Like I said, love is exceedingly individual. And there used to be a little cartoon, a little cartoon strip of this, like a little short, wideish characters. This was back in South Africa. I don't know if it was an international cartoon strip or not, but it was called Love Is ... And then this little guy and the girl and whatever, would be in some way saying love is this, some love. It's quite funny, love is putting up with us, or love, whatever. And it was 1,000 of these things, tens of thousands. It ran for a long time. So, when you get to look up love is ... you're going to find an incredible number of variations and definitions. So, to me, love is ultimate choice. Ultimate choice. And I feel if you're being loved because somebody's choosing to do this, this is profound, is it not?
Okay, yes, it is. The idea is so profound, yes. But personally, for me, like every other thing in every other aspect of our life, discipline is something which we need. I personally
Exactly.
feel that
Exactly.
without discipline, it becomes like really a chaos. Even if just
Yeah.
unlimited choices, it can create a chaos, a big time chaos in our lives. And
Yeah.
same with this love also. I'm not
Yeah.
saying about any rules, but the discipline needs to be there. Like our body, okay, yes, it is all my body. Can be like, okay, everything, the blood is circulating in every part of my body, but it's still my respiratory system is different, and my nervous system is different, and my digestive system is different, and they all have their own discipline. And
Yeah.
same for it applies to love. Yes, the choice needs to be there always. It has to be. It's a wonderful concept also. But at the same time, I personally need some discipline also. If I love someone,
Yes.
in a particular way. For me, it's like I cannot do multitasking very efficiently in this. No,
Yes.
I can love someone in that particular way only one at a time at least. This is something I feel. Second is that when we say that it is not contractual, it has to be, of course, free. But again, the discipline in this aspect also needs to be there. Otherwise, it's a pure manipulation. You are
Yes.
playing blindly.
Exactly.
I cannot
Exactly.
trust a person or situation if
Ah,
I don't have some sort of understanding that where it relies actually. Where
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
standing, I need to have some trust in the ground where I'm putting my feet on. That is it stable or
Yes.
not? This is something I personally feel that. And I'm not going to trust anyone where there is no consistency. No, I
Yeah.
cannot trust that. So this is
Yeah.
something personal to me. I personally feel that every choice always comes with responsibility. And this is the
Exactly.
idea that, oh, you just
Exactly.
stop at the choice.
Yes.
Oh, yes, okay, I
Yes.
need to have choices. Yes, but the choice is it's a dichotomy, and like you have to have understanding right
Yes.
there. Every choice is a responsibility because you are choosing, then you are responsible for something also,
Yes.
which we
Yes.
complete most of the time we don't think about that. I'm making choice. Oh, this was my choice. Yes, it was your choice and also your responsibility because every choice is a responsibility, acceptance of responsibility, acknowledgement of responsibility. You cannot just go and go wild and just say, oh, yes, I'm free to making
Exactly.
choices. Yes, we are free
Exactly.
to make choices,
Exactly.
but we are not
Yeah.
free to ignore the
Yeah.
responsibility which comes with this with that particular choice. So this is
Yes.
again, it is not a rule. It again, it's a discipline. Same
Yes.
discipline as the fish is swimming and living in the water, and you are living on the ground. Of course, you can live
Exactly.
in the water also if you want to, but you need some arrangements. Exactly as
Yes.
you have to make
Yes.
every choice. Yes, you are free to make any choices, every choice. Yes, but
Yes.
they always come with some responsibility.
Yes. 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 That's the key. Choice comes with responsibility, and the choice to love is a most profound responsibility. I want to say hello, hello, Norma. Norma's here, and Norma
Hello,
says,
Norma.
I am spot on. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Norma. I know Norma would understand. Norma shares many posts about love. So love is a very big deal. It's a most magical choice, most magical choice. And we have to accept that responsibility for our choice. This is a very profound point that you're adding to this discussion on love. Very, very profound point that, any choice comes with responsibility. And most people make choices and don't even realize really that they make choices. Secondly, even when they do know they've made a choice, they refuse to accept responsibility for their choices. They don't even think that they need to. But of course you have to. It's your choice. You made it. So
Exactly.
what comes is whether you say, I have to accept responsibility, you're going to have the consequence of your choice, whether you accept responsibility for or not. Accepting
Exactly.
responsibility means that
Exactly.
you now deal with those choices without blame, without recrimination, without complaint, etc. Once we learn to accept full responsibility for our choices, complaining goes out the window. I'm here because I choose to be. End of
Exactly.
story. If you don't like it, don't be here.
Exactly.
There's nothing that says you
Exactly.
have to continue living. You know the world can be weird and crazy and unfair and whatever, but yet you choose to continue living knowing
Exactly.
that this stuff could come. So stop complaining. You chose to be here. You chose to be here. You chose to be here. And you continue to choose to be here every
Exactly.
single day. So accept responsibility. Before we continue with our reading, I want to say the Queen Sierra has joined us. Not just any old Queen Sierra, the Queen Sierra. Okay, the three
Ah,
E's.
that's
Now,
wonderful.
very important. So, hello, Queen Sierra. Very happy to have you here, and happy that you're following us. That's most excellent. Not because we are focused on getting followers. This is not our paradigm. We are in the Morness paradigm. If people follow, they follow. That's wonderful. But why we say it's good is because when you do follow, you're telling the algorithm, I want more of this type of thing in my life. And when you emphasize and this, following, liking, sharing, and especially commenting and sharing, Those tell the algorithm, hey, this stuff is really important to me, so give me more, right? So we encourage that at the end of every single show that we do, every live, we call them lives or opens, but we're going to be doing a show also. At the end of every show, Bina always says, be sure to train your algorithm, and she says it in different ways. So this is very helpful and very important. And we do follow back as well. So Queen Sierra, I have somebody that helps me, and they post the clips there on YouTube, because these lives, the entire length of the live, for some reason I can't convert them to a post, but I do get clips. My software makes clips from it, and we've been posting the clips, as you can see there. So you'll see little snippets. If you do want to rewatch the entire video, either come to the group or you'll find it on YouTube, right? The full length video, if you don't get to watch the live, because the lives aren't saved on YouTube, the entire one, right? The full length, not as a post. But the clips are there. But still, you want to watch the whole one? Go to YouTube. All right. I'm thrilled to have you here. So please leave us a comment there, Queen Sierra. We always like to hear from comments. Yeah. So, and we connect. And I see the comments in my other things. So Norma says, we don't always choose, though. There's something in the air other than ourselves want. Yes, the universe does get involved. Now, it's still choice. It seems like we don't have a choice, but that's just the confluence of events. Make the choice a choice. And really, when you say we don't have a choice, what that really means, Norma, is it's so obviously sensible that, and we really want it, and it's easy, that to not choose it would be foolish. But we do have that choice to not choose what is obvious, what's a and what's so easy and joyful. We do still have a choice, right? It just doesn't seem like it, right? But the universe is conspiring to make this really, really easy for us. But technically and actually, we do still have that choice. So yeah, there are very different kinds of love, but we choose them all. When we understand the really fundamental nature of capital C choice, real deep choice, conscious, aware, deliberate living, which when we're living deliberately, we're living via choice, changes our lives. Yes, changes our lives. We do so many things out of habit, inadvertency, just pressure, force of circumstance, but we need to pay attention. Is this me just not paying attention and kind of being pushed around by stuff? Oh, yeah, actually it is. Then when we start to live deliberately, we say, wow, yes, this seems like a really easy choice, but it's easy because I'm avoiding something that's right, yet difficult. Ah, oh, whole different choice. That's why Bina brought in discipline as well. We need to have discipline, because discipline says that I am not going to just always take the easiest way. Discipline is me doing what's right, despite it being difficult. Now, when we live according to what's right now, and when I say right, I don't mean in the typical moral sense of the word. I mean from an impeccability point of view, from a conscience point of view. Very different story, right? When I'm choosing what's capital R right, what resonates with me, with what I can sign off on, with what I can stand fully behind, with what I have no doubts about, and therefore won't have any later recriminations or regrets about. Very different decision. Yeah, a lot of decisions which we seem to be making, we're doing because we're afraid, we're being crappy, we're being indulgent. We're not doing it because this is what our conscience demands of us. Most of us aren't even necessarily even connected to our conscience directly and deliberately. But this is what discipline is, and accepting full responsibility and living deliberately, which is living in the awareness of what your choices are and what options you have. The greater our awareness, the greater our range of options, the greater our ability to choose. And this is the most fantastic thing ever. We want freedom. Freedom has been able to choose anything at all. But we're not aware of what those choices are. So we cannot have this freedom that everybody's always wanting without having our awareness enhanced and developed. Yeah, if you're not aware of choices, then you're not able to exercise the freedom that could be yours. Yeah. Very important. Before we continue with our reading, because it's quite an interesting section coming up there. Interesting, not particularly valuable, but interesting. At least not valuable to us. Anyway, I have a question for you, Norma. Norma, do you think that visually lighting and shadows on my face and just everything and flickering, whatever, do you think I look better today than I have in the past? Bina? Not Bina, Norma. Norma, I'm asking you because Norma pays much attention to the video. So Norma, good expert here, good one to ask. Make myself all neat and presentable. Norma, do you think I look better? There's, the visuals, not me, but the entire video presentation. Right. While Norma responds, please, because I did make some changes to the lighting and the way the background works and everything. So I got 3 lights going on here. It's like a whole little setup. But all right. No, you're already perfect. Oh, thank you. Thank you. But I don't mean me, Norma. I mean the presentation of me, right? Like the way the lighting is. Before I didn't have like a side light here. My face was a bit in shadow, maybe, or whatever. Right? I don't know. It just seems a bit brighter and lighter. Yeah, Bina, what do you think? I know you already we discussed this, but that's a good way of saying it, right? A little lighter and brighter. Yes.
You're asking me or Norma?
Well, both of you, but I'm asking you specifically now.
Okay. I think light is much better today.
Oh, yeah.
Casting shadows on your yes.
Exactly. And there's no flickering as well, right?
Yes.
Or is this, yeah, I mean, I don't see any flickering. I don't know, maybe it shows differently for me. That's why I'm just checking, Yeah. All right. We are screen sharing and yeah. So Queen Sierra, leave us some comments there. We like to hear from people. It's very important to hear from them. Like Norma, I will love Norma's comments. So very good. Yeah. Always look good. Oh, thank you, Norma. Thank you. I'm trying to get a less biased view. In this case, it's a very positive, wonderful bias. But I was just asking about the lighting and stuff like that. If that looks better, not me, the lighting. But all right. You want me to read, Bina? Or do you feel like reading?
Yes.
Which one?
My throat is still causing
All
problem.
right.
No, you have to read.
Okay. I'm reading. All right. Where is Bina? I thought we were going to get to see her too. Yes, we were going to, but Bina's had a bit of flu. So when the flu goes by, then we'll see Bina. Right, Bina?
Yes, it is actually like I'm having more trouble in my throat and it is swelling up. So that's why I'm having trouble in talking also.
Yeah, so Bina looks like one of those geckos or lizards, when they puff their throats out like that to look all fierce. No, I have no idea. I'm just teasing. That's when you said that, it's popped into my head. So Norma says, maybe you had a wash today. Naughty Norma. Naughty Norma. Naughty. Yeah.
Very naughty. What about
very
you?
Funny.
When we are going to see you?
Oh, see, turn around. Turn around. Fair play. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, but that's fine.
I can't say anything.
Yeah. It works both ways, Norma. It works both ways. It works both ways.
Exactly.
All right. Anyway, we will see Bina. We will see Bina. But
yes,
it's
Joseph,
good to know,
I was trying to, but yes, it is my problem right now. So I'm not feeling well.
Things happen.
Yes.
And again, we will when time is appropriate. Yeah, but it'll come. Well, from Monday, you said Monday you were going to come, so it's not quite a week.
Yes, it's supposed to be this Monday, but sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right. You Bina is creating suspense. You see, and now when it does come, then you're gonna go. Thank you, Juan. No, I'm just fooling around.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Say it again.
No, but Norma, I said you're creating suspense, right? The build up. And then when finally you do so, it's like, wonderful. Yeah, we can see beat. So they've been dropped. So, Norma, I know you may hate the way you look, but that doesn't mean that we do. I love the way you look, Bina, Norma, and Bina. I love the way you look. And to me, how you look really doesn't matter. It's not about seeing and appreciating how you look. It's about the connectivity that matters. Yeah. Right, Bina? That's the thing that matters. It's not about how you look. It's about that extra connectivity. Because I love you and I enjoy connecting with you. Seeing you adds to it. I don't have to, of course. I mean, even when Bina and I are connecting when we aren't live, just privately, I still don't see Bina, right? So it doesn't matter, it makes no difference. We have a wonderful, same with Norma. We have a wonderful relationship, I don't have to see you. I like to, and I enjoy seeing you, Norma. It's quite a joy.
No,
Most
for live,
wonderful.
I do agree with Joseph that for live, it is,
Yeah, it is
yes, it is
important.
important.
It is
I
important.
agree
It is
with you,
important. And
Joseph.
it will
Sorry,
come.
yes,
It will come. It will
completely.
come. It will come.
Yes.
It will come. And, we are going to be doing our own TV show, right? This is on OTT, and it will be on like Amazon Fire TV and Roku and Daily Motion. I don't know, a whole bunch of places, right? So it's a TV show that we're going to be doing, and it'll probably be called the Morness Show. We haven't fully decided on the title, and we've got a lot of things to do still. And there'll be producers that will be sitting there and sending us messages and whatever, right? Like a regular show with producers in the background and all of the stuff, right? And in the show, of course, well, was going to be live also, right? But what we do here is much more casual. It's much more informal, and we go off on tangents and we do everything. So on the show, it'll be a little bit more structured. We'll still go off on tangents, but a little bit more focused because it's a show, right? And it's a little different. So we need to practice. We need to practice. I was just thinking, I get very earnest, and when I get earnest, I can get a bit fierce sometimes, which can come across a bit negative. I don't mean to sound that way, like I'm a bit cross about things. No, I'm just very earnest and I'm very fierce, and things are important. So I have to work on that a little bit. All right, no, let's start reading. Let's start reading. Just before we go, I just want to check Instagram real quick. All right, and then we go back. Yeah, you see in dashboard, when you make comments, you see this is in dashboard, right? Restream, the Restream dashboard. It shows Norma's comments. And yesterday it was show, like, see, Bina made a comment there on YouTube. It shows it too. And if somebody makes a comment on Instagram, it should show it here as well. So it's pretty cool. I can see it all in one place. And you see, I can read them and keep this, and it all works out very nicely. So, Norma, you hating the way you look has nothing to do with us. That's your issue. We don't hate the way you look, so that means that we like to see you. See, so don't we, whether we see you or not, you still look the same. Doesn't matter to you. The only reason not to show us how you look is because you think we also hate the way you look. No, but we don't. Right? So, all right, let's continue. So, Don Juan is now where Don Juan is teaching Carlos about the Datura plant, and he's going to partake of it as this mixture that Don Juan makes and cooks up from the plant, and its various stages, and it's a whole long complicated procedure. And now they're involved in it, and he shared from the little sacks, and he made things, but he's coming to a very unusual part of this whole long procedure. Very complicated, right? Anyway, so again, we are reading to know Don Juan, to connect with Don Juan, to meet Don Juan, as Bina so wonderfully says, yeah? And not for the procedure itself. It's fascinating and interesting, but we can't replicate it. So for us personally, as a reader, it doesn't matter. But what does matter, what we can use, is understanding how Don Juan thinks, how he acts, how his mindset is, what his character is like. Yes, his sensibilities, his sobriety, etc. Right? Lots we can learn. Lots we can learn when we apply this overview discernment, which is what Way of Impeccability is all about. Yeah? Right, here we go. Carlos is speaking. As Carlos is the narrator. We returned to his room, where there were still two little sacks he had not touched. He opened one. This is Don Juan opening it, right? He opened one, slid his hand inside, and wrinkled the opened end around his wrist with the other hand. He seemed to be holding something, judging by the way his hand moved inside the bag. Suddenly, with a swift movement, he peeled the bag off his hand like a glove, turning it inside out, and shoved his hand close to my face. He was holding a lizard. Its head was a few inches from my eyes. There was something strange about the lizard's mouth. I gazed at it for a moment, and then recoiled involuntarily. The lizard's mouth was sewed up with rude stitches. Don Juan ordered me to hold the lizard in my left hand. I clutched it, wiggling again. Niggling again. Hey, go away, footer. I can't see what's here. Anyway, I felt nauseated. I think that's what he says there. My hands began to perspire. Now, I always feel sorry for the lizard a bit here, your mouth is being sewed up, it seems quite. But we have to understand this is non-ordinary reality and things don't quite work the same. And likewise, this lizard is probably part of the whole preparation mixture, and the lizard is, that mixture is having an effect on the lizard, which is likely numbing it, etc. Right? So again, let's just put our normal perception of things aside, because this is not in the ordinary realm of things. Yeah. So Don Juan is not given to random cruelty. Right? He took the last bag, and repeating the same motions, he extracted another lizard. He also held it close to my face. I saw that its eyelids were sewed together. He ordered me to hold this lizard in my right hand. By the time I had both lizards in my hands, I was almost sick. I had an overpowering desire to drop them and get out of there. Don't squeeze them, he said, and his voice brought me a sense of relief and direction. He asked what was wrong with me. He tried to be serious, but couldn't keep a straight face and laughed. I tried to ease my grip, but my hands were sweating so profusely that the lizards began to wiggle out of them. Their sharp little claws scratched my hands, producing an incredible feeling of disgust and nausea. I closed my hands and clenched my teeth. One of the lizards was already sliding onto my wrist. All it needed was to yank its head from between my fingers to be free. I had a peculiar sensation of physical despair, of supreme discomfort. I growled at Don Juan between my teeth to take the damn things off me. My head shook involuntarily. He looked at me curiously. I growled like a bear, shaking my body. He dropped the lizards into their bags and began to laugh. I wanted to laugh also, but my stomach was upset. I lay down. I explained to him that what had affected me was the sensation of their claws on my palms. He said there were lots of things that could drive a man mad, especially if he did not have the resolution, the purpose required for learning. But when a man had a clear, unbending intent, feelings were in no way capable of controlling them. This is very powerful. Yes. I want to add this to our quote file. Yes? Veena, do you agree?
Yes, this is important. Yes, this is important. Exactly.
Here we go. Here we go. Yeah. All right. And that's what we were talking about earlier. Yes? There were lots of things that could drive a person mad, especially if they did not have the resolution, the purpose required for learning. When a person has a clear, unbending intent, feelings are in no way a hindrance, for they are capable of controlling them. Clarity of intent. Yes? It's not just about unbending intent, but that clearness too. Two things that go together. Now, this is discernment and moreness. Yes, you can take clear and unbending intent, and that's very cool. But you really have to think about it. You have to really process it and work through it, and get into it to really get the depth of meaning. Christopher Abbott is in the house. Yes, good morness. You see, morness, it can be used for morning, evening, midday, anytime, right? So good morning, Christopher Abbott. Good morning, Christopher Abbott. Wonderful to have you here.
Good morning, Christopher. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's too wonderful. It's too wonderful. So this point that he's making here about having a clear intent. Now, to have a clear intent and to have clarity of intent, it's a slight nuance there, but very powerful, right? Because to
Yes.
have a clear intent, that means on the specific intent. But to have clarity of intent, it applies in the overall, not to the specific thing that you're particularly doing. Like in this case, you could say, well, Carlos needs to have a clear intent about learning about the Tura, about the devil's weed, the Jimson weed, right? But when you have clarity of intent,
Yes.
clarity of intent, that term, it connects to your life in general. What is it that you are wanting out of life? What is your purpose? What are you doing? Yes. Now, people always have this, oh, purpose must come from elsewhere. Right? I know, to me, it might do so, but purpose is something we can choose. Yes. And if we choose via attunement, now you're choosing in harmony, in connection with the entirety of life, the world, the universe, everything, whatever you can imagine, right? And the more in attunement you are, and the more connected you are to purpose, which gives you purpose. Very critical. Yes. The more in attunement you are, the more you are connected to purpose, which gives you purpose. I want to add that to my quote file. Yeah. That's a very good quote. I never quite said it that way before. Right? Yeah.
Yes. Just wanna say something about the having a clear intent and clarity of intent. The difference I feel, because I'm really, it is big and huge for me. And thank you that you actually pointed out the nuance difference between having a clear intent and clarity of intent. I personally feel, and please uh, make it right if I'm not saying understanding it appropriately. So for me, having a clarity of intent is sometimes we do have intents which are not deliberately set by us,
Correct.
sometimes, or choose by us, but still we can have clarity about them. Those intents which are coming by attunement, some intents which are just coming, and we just made that. We are not aware of it completely, but we still can have clarity. The clear intent is that yes, I made something about this. I'm not aware of the implications of it, but I'm aware that okay, I made this clear intent that I want to do this. What are the implications, the consequence of it? I might not be aware, but with the clarity of intent, definitely I'm going to be aware of, if not all, majority of the implications I'll be aware of. So this is a difference between the clarity of intent and the having a clear intent for me. And this is where I feel that that way of impeccability is actually giving you and providing you that real clarity about what we are doing to live a deliberate life. You cannot have lived deliberate life, capital D deliberate life, with just having a clear intent. It is good,
Correct.
but as not as having a clarity of intent.
Yes.
Yes.
So now, for like Christopher Abbott, yes, we are coming at this reading via Way of Impeccability. Way of Impeccability is a comprehensive life change and self-change program. Yes. And part of many things to Way of Impeccability. It's not just the content inside Way of Impeccability. Yes, that is incredibly powerful, but it is the tools and the mechanisms. And one of those tools is the dictionary of power. Yeah? And of course also the self-quoting, but the dictionary of power in particular. And the dictionary of power is a list of conceptions that bring moreness into our lives, that add purpose, that add clarity, that add comprehension, add depth, add discernment, etc. Right? And this is the difference between saying having a clear intent and clarity of intent. Now, when we put clarity of intent into our dictionary of power, it's capital C clarity, and it's hyphenated, and it's capital I intent. It is a power conception. And part of this dictionary of power is to write in that format, yes, to hyphenate the compound conceptions and to capitalize them, because that capitalization says it's emphasized. Because there's a very big difference between just intent and capital I intent, or like I was talking earlier about love, regular love, which is little l love, and capital L love. And in particular, huge topic, capital T trust. We'll get into it in another day. Yes, but these are all part of the dictionary of power, right? And my dictionary of power, let's see, where's my dictionary of power? Yeah, see, I have, oh, this is a file for something else. Oh, well, where's my dictionary of power? I don't have it open. But anyway, my dictionary of power is a huge, big deal, right? And it's my dictionary of power. There is kind of a way of impeccability dictionary of power, but each participant is got to make their own dictionary of power, right? I mean, this, yeah, I've got concepts, and then I got more, and then I've got them, linked to articles, you see, right, on all of these things, you see. But this is also, there's more involved here, because this grew out of another project. But your dictionary of power is typically, you make an entry like in a dictionary, and then you add a deeper, expanded understanding of the term. And it's worthwhile to, not worthwhile, but as it goes, every now and then you're going to add a bit more to that deeper understanding as your awareness of the concept grows, right? And you don't take away the old one, because when you go back and look at it, say, wow, this is how I understood it in the beginning, and then I understood some more, and then I grew, and then, wow, okay, I started to see a bit more depth. And you realize that your understanding of these conceptions, it's never gets defined. And it's the difference between a conception, a conception, and a definition. Conceptions are open-ended, they keep growing. Definitions, they close, they're locked. They're locked into place, right? And you don't grow with it. But conceptions, you grow, because there's always more. This is part of Moreness-Culture, which is Way of Impeccability is the bedrock, the foundation, the starting point for Moreness-Culture. There are other key programs also, like capital H hearing, which is another way of saying capital P perception. I come at it via hearing because it's very easy to do. Right? It's a nice entry into it, but it's capital P perception. And we're going to be seeing a lot of this capital P perception via Don Juan, even though he never says it that way. But when we understand it that way, now it opens up. And this abstract conceptionality is powerful. So Way of Impeccability, another name for it is the language of conceptionality. Okay. Very, very powerful. And it's something that, I worked extensively on, and it's incredibly powerful. Very, very cool. So what does Christopher says? Face blue, covering eyes. Yeah. All right. It happens, Joseph. That's the thing that most participants coming to Way of Impeccability, at some point, they realize that things don't work quite the way they thought it does. And this is very important. This is a very powerful understanding in Moreness-Culture, which we are sharing. And it's a very powerful quote, a very powerful understanding. The world does not work the way we think it does. We have an idea of the world, but it's just a little bubble. There's so much more. And when we start to realize that, everything changes. Everything changes. Absolutely everything. Right? And this is part of the magic of Don Juan, is that he is making every effort to show Carlos that the world does not work the way Carlos thinks. Okay? As we're going to see with the lizards. Right? But this is a very powerful quote, right? That if we don't have the resolution, now you see, for me, that needs to be capitalized. And when when we remake that, take all those quotes and we make them our own, this is very important. The quote doesn't stay Don Juan's. I have to make it my own. Otherwise, it's just something Don Juan said. I'm not going to live it. I'm not going to use it. So at some point, I make it my own. And when I make it my own, for me, this, if he did not have the resolution, I would say it as, if we do not have resolution, capital R. That's a very different thing to saying the resolution. It's similar, but in context, when we read the entirety of Don Juan's quote, we can see he means to have capital R resolution, to have purpose, not the purpose, right? So if we don't have resolution, capital P purpose, required for capital L learning, not learning that we typically think of learning, which is memorization. That's not real learning. Real learning is adding to who you are, adding to your comprehension of the world, adding to your ability to deal with the fullness, the moreness of the world. This is real learning, right? Warriors capable of controlling them. Again, I would rather say, for me personally, rather than controlling, which is a very negative word, or it has negative connotations, a lot of baggage to it, I would say when they, rather than he, okay, he says he because he's talking to Carlos, and this guy, we've discussed this before. But when we say, rather than saying controlling, we say managing. That's a very different thing. Because when you control emotions, you can inadvertently uh, um, um, uh, manipulate your emotions in such a way that you don't have access to them, and you start burying them, or you end up in denial, or hide. And this just causes problems later on. Managing it, though, means you're fully connected to your emotion. You know how to deal with it. You know where to store with it. You don't have things that are unresolved, right? So to come to resolution, resolution is a huge term in the dictionary of power. Right? To have resolution means that you also strive to be resolved with everything in yourself and everything in the world. Right? Now, coming to resolution does not mean solution. I can be resolved about emotional conflict because I can say, well, there's nothing I can do about it. On the one hand, it's this, and on the other hand, it's that, and the two coexist simultaneously. I can't change that, so I have to make peace with it. I'm resolved. It's not solved, but it is resolved. Yeah, like a detective. He doesn't solve the case, but he's resolved to say, there's nothing more I can do. I followed all the leads. It's now a cold case. I'm resolved. Okay, life is easy. Something new comes up, I'll open the case again. Right? See, get resolved. Right? Very important. Resolution versus solution. All right. So this thing about, emotions and having clear, unbending intent, and being able to deal with ourselves, right? This is very key. When you know what you're about, emotions don't have this issue, right? Don Juan waited a while, and then, going through the same motions, handed me the lizards again. He told me to hold their heads up and rub them softly against my temples. The world does not work the way we think it does. As I asked them anything I wanted to know, I did not understand at first what he wanted me to do. He told me again to ask the lizards about anything I could not find out for myself. He gave me a whole series of examples. I could find out about persons I did not see ordinarily, or about objects that were lost, or about places I'd not seen. Then I realized he was talking about divination. I got very excited. My heart began to pound. I felt that I was losing my breath. So this divination, in the sorcery side of things, which again, we are going to move on and go past the sorcery side of things, as Don Juan will tell you later on. This is a world that is a legacy world that he kind of inherited. But going forward, it's not one that, he doesn't recommend it as a choice. And in the sorcery world, like I was saying, that the Bushman shaman, Rachobstan, that I was apprenticed to, I know he taught me his method of divination. It's very common all over the world. Many, many, many different means of divination. Right? It's a very powerful thing that people seek and sort. But personally, I don't see much value to it. It's a lot of effort for a very, very marginal return. I mean, all right, so you can find out where lost things are, but learn not to lose things in the first place, and in the second place, learn to deal with things that get lost inadvertently. And when you live in attunement, you probably will start to understand, well, that kind of thing was meant to be lost. If it is meant to be lost, you'll know whether it was meant to be lost and you shouldn't have anything to do with it, or if attunement will say it will lead you to where it is and you'll find it again. So living in attunement takes care of the divination issues. Yes. It's not an issue. So attunement will bring you the answers that you seek through divination without all of the stress and huff and puff. Beside which, You don't necessarily know if this is a good thing to do or not to find these answers that you seek. Yeah, you're just going by your own idea of what you want. And when we really get into understanding attunement and we go and look at the young man's story about the gift of intent, where he comes to this awareness that the goal, the ideal of self-wisdom is flawed. Right? It's a very long topic, but we'll get to it another time. Right? Otherwise, we will never get to finish the section here. Right? And it's the magic of capital R reading. There's always more. There's so much more. He warned me not to ask about personal matters this first time. How significant is that? See what I was saying? Carlos could easily have said, well, divination, ask whatever you want. And he could ask, oh, does she love me? Yeah, see, so there's but he says, don't. Maybe later, but that stuff is dangerous. That's why I don't ask, right? He said I should think rather of something that had nothing to do with me. Yeah, because that's a lot safer, right? Again, inadvertent intent, unintended consequences. I had to think fast and clearly because there would be no way of reversing my thoughts. I tried frantically to think of something I wanted to know. Don Juan urged me on imperiously, and I was astonished to realize I could think of nothing I wanted to ask the lizards. After a painfully long wait, I thought of something. Sometime earlier, a large number of books had been stolen from a reading room. It was not a personal matter, and yet I was interested in it. I had no preconceived ideas about the identity of the person or persons who had taken the books. I rubbed the lizard against my temples, asking them who the thief was. After a while, Don Juan put the lizards inside the bags and said that there was no deep secrets about the root and the paste. The paste was made to give direction. The root made things clear, but the real mystery was the lizards. They were the secret of the whole sorcery of the second portion, he said. I asked whether they were a special kind of lizard. He said they were. They had come from the area of one's, they had to come from the area of one's own plant. They had to be one's friends. And to have lizards as friends, he said, required a long period of grooming. One had to develop a strong relationship with them by giving them food and speaking kind words to them. See, again, this whole thing, it's all, this sorcery stuff is incredibly complicated, and there's much simpler, easier, more efficient, more effective ways of doing things, living in attunement. I asked why their friendship was so important. He said the lizards would allow themselves to be caught only if they knew the man, and whoever took the devil's weed seriously had to treat the lizard seriously. He said that, as a rule, the lizards should be caught after the paste and the root were prepared. They should be caught in the late afternoon. If one was not on intimate terms with the lizards, he said, days could be spent trying to catch them without success, and the paste lasts only one day. He then gave me a long series of instructions concerning the procedure to follow after the lizards had been caught. Again, not shared with us, so we cannot replicate this, even though many of the steps are here, but not all of them, right? And very serious, obviously missing, right? So we have to just keep this in mind. You cannot replicate this, right? Very important. No, don't try. Once you have caught the lizards, put them in separate bags. Then take the first one and talk to her. Apologize for hurting her and beg her to help you. And with a wooden needle, sew up her mouth. Use the fibers of agave and one of the thorns of a choya to do the sewing. Draw the stitches tight. Then tell the other lizard the same thing and sew her eyes together. By the time night begins to fall, you will be ready. Take the lizards with the sewed up mouth and explain to her the matter you want to know about. Before I go a little further, we are reading to know Don Juan. And we are going to see this as a theme going forward, going through Don Juan, right? This reverence for the world. Reverence, right? Is the juice worth the squeeze? I don't think so, Christopher Abbott, right? But when we understand, look at Don Juan, right? This reverence that he has, and we see it here for the lizards, right? You see it also for the plant itself, right? Plant as in the abstract conception of plant, not the specific individual one. Yes, that too, but overallly also. And Don Juan has this reverence this absolute sobriety, and this giving of due respect, which is one of our way of impeccability, extended definitions of impeccability. Yeah, Don Juan only once ever defines what impeccability means. He says best use of energy. That's it, right? And yes, that is comprehensive, but you can add to that, like saying impeccability is giving everything due respect, not respect, but due respect. Yes, Bina made this distinction very early on as a participant of Way of Impeccability. Yes, very powerful, very wonderful, very, very, very insightful, very sophisticated, very profound. Lots of sobriety in this. So this due respect, absolutely crucial. Now, there's other definitions of impeccability, which we'll get to as they come up, but I want to make a point here about capital R reverence, yes, which is, there's more to it than just due respect. Yes, reverence takes it further, right? And when we see this in Don Juan, we'll see also how reverence is a crucial part of attunement. Now, this is capital R reverence. It has nothing to do with religion or anything like that, right? Nothing to do with all of this. Yes, it is a deep respect, a sobriety, a connection, an appreciation of the world around us. Yeah? It is saying the world is special, the world is magical, the world is more. Yeah? And obviously it is, because the lizards aren't just lizards. Yes, they are entities. Yeah, and it's very, very powerful. Where was I? All right, take the lizard with a sewed-up mouth and explain to her the matter you want to know about. Ask her to go and see for you. Tell her you had to sew up her mouth so that she would hurry back to you and not talk to anyone else. Right? See, in Don Juan's world, there is in this world, not all of Don Juan's, in this part of Don Juan's world, this sorcery world, there's an underlying logic to things that is not similar to the typical logic. Yes. Right? He has an understanding about lizards that's not part of our regular world understanding, right? Ask her to go and see for you. Tell her you had to sew up her mouth so she would hurry back to you and not talk to anyone else. We don't have talking lizards in our world, but in the sorcery world they do, right? Let her scramble in the paste after you. Let her scramble in the paste after you have rubbed it on her head. Then put her on the ground. If she goes in the direction of your good fortune, the sorcery will be successful and easy. Again, this direction of your good fortune, something that what are you talking about, Don Juan? How do you know what your direction of your good fortune is, right? It's not explained. I think maybe at some point he does explain this sort of, kind of, but we'll see, right? If she goes in opposite direction, it will be unsuccessful. If the lizard moves towards you, south, you can expect more than ordinary good luck. But she moves away from you, north, the sorcery will be terribly difficult. Now, since north and south are in brackets there, we don't know how much we can put into that, right? Yes, the lizards do survive, Christopher, but absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah, because he uses them again, I believe. You know, they part. I mean, something you've now taken responsibility for these lizards, right? And you're taking care of them as a result of all of this. So absolutely, they do survive, yeah. At this point, you can make the decision to quit. If you do, you will lose your capacity to command the lizards, but that is better than losing your life. On the other hand, see command. Yeah, and if you command the lizards and you stop, well, obviously then they go off on their own, right? On the other hand, if you decide to go ahead with the sorcery in spite of my warning, sorry, on the other hand, you may decide to go ahead with the sorcery in spite of my warning. If you do, the next step is to take the other lizard and tell her to listen to her sister's story and then describe it to you. Very complicated stuff. I mean, this world of sorcery is inordinately complicated. Yes. And I guess there's sort of a good reason for it, because it also is a path to ordinary power. Yeah, the power of domination, manipulation, abuse, etc. Yeah, and so the universe makes it complicated because this puts off those who want easy solutions to go this way, right? And this is the magic of attunement. It's not necessarily easier. On the other hand, it is vastly easier. Yes, there is a lot of moreness involved in attunement. Yes, profoundly so, but it is a much, much simpler mechanism. Plus, You know, the key criteria is your conscience. And when that guides you, you don't have this temptation to learn to do these things so that you can do stupid, foolish, idiotic things like have power over other people and abuse and manipulate them. It's just that superiority paradigm logic. It's an absurdity, right? Uh, but how can the lizard with a sewed-up mouth tell me what she sees? Wasn't her mouth closed to prevent her talking? Sewing up her mouth prevents her from telling a story to strangers. People say lizards are talkative. They will stop anywhere to talk. Anyway, the next step is to smear the paste on the back of her head and then rub her head against your right temple, keeping the paste away from the center of your forehead. At the beginning of your learning, it is a good idea to tie the lizard by its middle to your right shoulder with a string. Then you won't lose her or injure her. But as you progress and become more familiar with the power of the devil's weed, the lizards learn to obey your commands and will stay perched on your shoulder. After you see why I say they survive, because it's a continuous thing, right? They become part of part of your world, as it were, and you have to take care of them, and they get comfortable with you. After you have smeared the paste on your right temple with a lizard, dip your fingers of both hands into the gruel. First, rub it on both temples and then spread it all over both sides of your head. The paste dries very fast and can be applied as many times as necessary. Begin every time by using the lizard's head first and then your fingers. Sooner or later, the lizard that went to sea comes back and tells her sister all about her journey, and the blind lizard describes it to you as though you were her kind. When the sorcery is finished, put the lizard down and let her go. But don't watch where she goes. Dig a deep hole with your bare hands and bury everything you used in it, right? Again, the burying is giving due respect to the power of these objects. You can't just leave this stuff lying around, right? This is dangerous stuff, obviously. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll read a bit more and see. I don't know how long this goes till, but we'll see if we can maybe come to a end of this segment. Yeah. About 6 p.m., Don Juan scooped the root extract out of the bowl onto a flat piece of shale. There was less than a teaspoon of the yellowish starch. He put half of it into a cup and added some yellowish water. He rotated the cup in his hand to dissolve the substance. He handed me the cup and told me to drink the mixture. Rotated the cup. That's called swilling. But anyway, he rotated to dissolve. It's called swilling. Peculiar word, swilling. And also, swill is a negative word too, meaning like horrible stuff. But anyway, he handed me the cup and told me to drink the mixture. It was tasteless, but it left a slightly bitter flavor in my mouth. The water was too hot, and that annoyed me. My heart began pounding fast, but soon I was relaxed again. Don Juan got the other bowl with the paste. The paste looked solid and had a glossy surface. I tried to poke the crust with my finger, but Don Juan jumped towards me and pushed my hand away from the bowl. Look at understanding of intent. Carlos, you have to be acutely aware and have clarity of intent. Everything matters when it comes to intent. You poking it like that just to satisfy your curiosity, you're dealing with powerful substances. Have some respect here. Have due respect. Don't go poking stuff. See? Just for no reason whatsoever. Every action when it comes to intent is significant. See? And with that reverence, treat these things as having the necessity for being treated with reverence. You're dealing with power, for heaven's sake, Carlos, right? Very, very important. Okay. Don Juan comes to say it. Right. But Don Juan jumped toward me and pushed my hand away from the bowl. He became very annoyed. He said it was very thoughtless of me to try that. And if I really wanted to learn, capital L learn, there was no need to be careless. This was power, he said, pointing to the paste, right? So I was just bringing my own understanding, but yeah, Don Juan also says it, right? He said, pointing to the paste. And that happens very often. I'm bringing that Morness and then it gets confirmed later on. It happens. This was power, he said, pointing to the paste. And nobody could tell what kind of power it really was. It was bad enough that we had to tamper with it for our own purposes. A thing we cannot help doing because we are men, he said. But we should at least treat it with the proper respect. Here comes this due respect. Yeah. I don't care for the term proper because proper is a very corrupted term, something you associate with like Victorianism, and you have to be proper, and etiquette and all this stuff. No, this is somebody's particular idea of what is appropriate, not necessarily what is actually appropriate, right? So when you say due respect, that's a whole different thing. Now you have to take the entire circumstance into involved. You have to take the entire context into involved. You have to take your goals, your motivations, your intents, all of it into cognizance, right? To give due respect. Much broader, much bigger, much deeper, much more sophisticated, much more clear. The mixture looked like oatmeal. Apparently, it had enough starch to give it that consistency. He asked me to get the bags for the lizards. He took the lizard with a sewed-up mouth and carefully handed it over to me. Not her, it. See the difference between Don Juan and Carlos. See the missing reverence, right? First of all, they're female lizards. That was made very clear, right? So it's not an it, it's a she. But to Carlos, a lizard is something inconsequential. To Don Juan, the lizard is an entity. It is a being like any other being that deserves respect. Very big difference in the worldview. Yes, Bina, make sense? I mean, you agree. I mean, my explanation is enough, right? I don't have to elaborate more.
Yes.
See the difference between colors. Just in that one term, it and she. This is capital R reading, capital H hearing, that we are able to catch things like this and through it connect to more. And now, when Carlos was writing this, he didn't realize, obviously, otherwise he would have changed it to she. So we get to understand that when Carlos is writing this, which is like 5 or 6, 7 years later, right? And this is happening. He's in a bubble of perception. He's not aware of what he's doing. He's going to tell us that he missed the boat, right? But things like this, he doesn't really correct either. So we get to see the bubble that Carlos is in, right? And we get to see via inference and implication how he's looking at the world, his worldview compared to Don Juan's. It's a wonderful contrast, right? Because we get to realize, oh my God, I'm just as much in a bubble as Carlos is, right? But we need to learn to want to be Don Juan and not want to be Carlos. People all want to be Carlos because Carlos is the apprentice. But be careful of your intents, because if you want to be, you want to be Carlos because you want to be an apprentice. But this is a poor intent. Learn to want to be Don Juan. You learn to want to be an apprentice, you're always probably going to be in that apprentice mind, which is a kind of a lazy thing because, somebody's always teaching me, they're responsible. Don Juan is going to disabuse you of that very fast. You've got to learn to be responsible for yourself, which means you've got to learn to aspire to be as much of Don Juan or as more than Don Juan if needed as you possibly can be, right? Don't be limited by Don Juan either. As fantastic as Don Juan is, Don Juan will tell you there's more beyond me. He doesn't say it anywhere in the books in that way, but I'm 100% convinced that he'll tell you that, right? Because Don Juan, as much as he appreciates and is aware of his own power, he's also exceedingly humble about, compared to the universe, the world, it's nothing, Right. So very, very important, right? He asked me to get the bag with the lizards. He took the lizard with a sewed-up mouth and carefully handed it over to me. He made me take it with my left hand and told me to get some of the paste from my finger and rub it on the lizard's head, and then put the lizard into the pot and hold it there until the paste covered its entire body. Then he told me to remove the lizard from the pot. He picked up the pot and led me to a rocky area, not too far from the house. He pointed to a large rock and told me to sit in front of it, as if it were my deter plant, and, holding the lizard in front of my face, to explain to her again what I wanted to know, and beg her to go and find the answer for me. Again, beg her. There's an understanding and impliedness that you are asking for a profound favor. See? In Carlos's world, well, they're my lizards, I'm in charge of them, I'm the boss, I'm a human, you're a lizard, you nothing, I'm, a human. In other words, I'll tell you what to do. If I want you, no, see, that's superiority paradigm logic. Don Juan's world of reverence, you beg the lizard, not ask, beg. You are asking for a deep, deep, very big deal favor, beg. This is a gift that you're going to get. Capital G gift, a very big deal. See what I mean by when we look at this through this lens of reverence? we start to see there's a massive worldview difference between Don Juan and Carlos. Massive. Carlos has no real respect for the world, no respect for moreness. There's much more to the world than we know. Much, much more, right? Very, very, very powerful stuff, okay? Let's see. And beg her to go and find the answer for me. He advised me to tell the lizard I was sorry I had to cause her discomfort, and to promise her I would be kind to all lizards in return. There's a trade-off, always. There's balance. For the lizard, this now becomes an investment, yes, of this suffering or discomfort for the benefit of all lizards, right? Because in Don Juan's worldview, I happen to share it also. You've got lizard, which is the overallness of which every lizard is just a representation. Same with the datura plant, right? Each individual plant's part of a bigger whole. Same thing as humans, we are part of a bigger whole, right? It's just a worldview. It's just a worldview, but it's one that is easily substantiated, and it's whether it's substantiated or not, it's very useful, very valuable worldview, and it adds to our understanding of moreness, reverence. Very powerful. And then he told me to hold it between the third and fourth fingers of my left hand, where he had once made a cut, and to dance around the rock, doing exactly what I had done when I had replanted the root of the devil's weed. He asked me if I remembered all I had done at that time. I said I did. Yeah. Messiah lizard, yes, exactly. Christopher Abbott says. I said I did. He emphasized that everything had to be done, had to be just the same. And if I did not remember, I had to wait until everything was clear in my mind. He warned me with great urgency that if I acted too quickly without deliberation, I was going to get hurt. If I acted too quickly without deliberation, I was going to get hurt. And this is a magical, wonderful, good, we can take it out of context, yes? Yeah. And take this quote and add it to our extract file here. Would you agree, Bina? Bina?
Yes, yes.
Right? He warned me with great urgency, right? That if I acted too quickly without deliberation, I was going to get hurt. Now, this is in the specific context, obviously, but we can take this and add it to just life in general, right?
Yes.
Because this absolutely applies in general. Most people act too quickly. They act without deliberation and they get hurt, right? And they get in trouble or whatever, right? I mean, getting hurt, it's a broad term. And when we look at this in a bigger abstract point of view, we see the profound value. And this is the point of our quote file. Yes, we are going to make these our own later on and take the value, extract the value, which is one of the profound skills of Way of Impeccability. This ability to not only extract value, but to create value. No? It is an incredible skill and ability. It is a potency, it is a power. Right? And we are doing this here. But see, this is when you live deliberately, which is the point and purpose of Way of Impeccability, of Moreness-Culture, right? This is to live deliberately. This is our goal. This is our clarity of intent. We want to get to that point where we can live deliberately. Because acting too quickly, rushing, that's foolishness, is it not? Isn't this one of the classics when you say, oh, somebody's a fool? You say, well, why? Well, in many reasons. One of them typically is because they rush when they shouldn't rush, or they don't do anything when they should be quick, right? They have no sense of timing. Yeah? Again, living in attunement takes care of all of that. His last instruction was that I had to place the lizard with a sewed-up mouth on the ground and watch where she went so that I could determine the outcome of the experience. He said I was not to take my eyes away from the lizard, even for an instant, because it was a common trick of lizards to distract one and then dash away. It was not quite dark yet. Don Juan looked at the sky. I will leave you alone, he said, and walked away. I followed all his instructions and then placed the lizard on the ground. The lizard stood motionless where I put it. Then it looked at me and ran to the rocks towards the east and disappeared among them. I sat on the ground in front of the rock, as though I were facing my plant. Profound sadness overtook me. I wondered about the lizard with its sewed-up mouth. I thought of its strange journey and of how it had looked at me before it had run away. It was a weight thought. It was a weird thought, an annoying projection. In my own case, I too was a lizard, undergoing another strange journey. My fate was, perhaps, only to see. At that moment, I felt that I would never. I had to wait for it to finish saving. Now I lost my place. Yeah, where was I?
Are we going to continue?
Yeah, okay. All right. I'll just go a little more and then we stop.
Yes. Okay.
And my fate was perhaps only to see at that moment. I felt that I would never be able to tell what I had seen. It was very dark by then. I could hardly see the rocks in front of me. I thought of Don Juan's words. The twilight, there's the crack between the worlds. Slightly different phrasing, but same point. Right? So this is a good point to end on right here. Right? With Carlos's somewhat melancholy, and this understanding that the twilight is the crack between the worlds, yeah, and how he's resonating, harmonizing with the lizard, yes, feeling this and feeling his own nothingness compared to the universe. Very powerful point. Very powerful point. Don Juan is, I'm sorry, Carlos is getting glimpses, and hopefully he's learning. We're never quite sure if Carlos does actually, capital L, learn or not, but it seems that he learns in spite of himself to some degree at some point. But he never really shares from a point of feeling that he's learned at least a little bit. Very, very amazing, very amazing. So yes, good timing, good timing, good timing. And we've got Ryan Wozniak blog. So hello, Ryan Wozniak. Very cool. And I'm assuming Ryan has a blog. Yes. Since it's called Ryan Wozniak blog. Yeah. Can you please zoom out the screen? We can't see the file. I don't know. I don't know how I can do this, Ryan. Because of the YouTube format, it puts it into vertical format. If you watch the videos on YouTube, you can see the entirety of the screen. But the vertical format, it pinches it. And right, let me try something and let me see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and also that tomorrow we will do, because we will not have live tomorrow, because it's Saturday. But we will try to fix all those things as a viewer also, and we will see that. Okay, we will have a trial thing, and we will try to fix all those things as a viewer also. So if it can, it is because it will take time. Yes.
Yeah. You
Thank
see,
you
I
so much,
can only,
everyone.
yeah, Ryan, I can only make that file narrow up to a certain point. Yeah.
Are you watching from your mobile phone or laptop? So please, I will try to watch from both. Tomorrow we will do some practice and see that, okay,
Yeah.
how it is.
But
It looks like from mobile phone, and also because
yeah.
I see that on Instagram when I'm watching you on mobile phone, it is like, okay, just your face on my whole phone screen.
Right. And also I see the same thing, you see, because I see it there and I'm not quite in the center, I'm slightly off center. And so I see what you see, but the Instagram, it cuts off the sides of the picture. And even if I can't zoom it in on my computer, unfortunately, it doesn't, because I'll have to make a smaller screen, and because I'm sharing my whole screen. So maybe that's a Zoom thing. You know what, Bina? Let's just do this real quick here now while we're about this. All right. So Ryan, hang in there. When I go to screen, it says share the entire screen or application windows. All right.
Yes, we will
So
see, sir,
now,
because
hold
it is
on.
going to take time.
No. It's quick. It's quick. I'll be able to see in 1 second here. Oh, it's still showing my Zoom is still sharing me. Well, maybe it's a little bit of a delay. Let's see. There we go. You see, it still cuts it off. You see, Ryan, even though I said share the application only, and the application is narrow on my screen, I can't make it any narrower because then it cuts off the words and I can't read it. Yeah, you see, it's still cutting it off. It's just the nature of Instagram. But we do have all of, oh really, oh you can read it properly now, because on me I can't see that. Oh well, that's good to know. All right,
Oh,
so
that's
thank you
perfect.
very
That's
much.
perfect.
Now,
Thank you so much.
now, pay attention, everybody who ever watches this. You see how feedback is so valuable. I just, never thought this was necessary to do, but in future, when I do a screen share in Zoom, I can share my entire screen, which includes the Zoom little window, which is kind of cool, because then you can read and watch us if you're on a computer, but it doesn't work for Instagram. So now I will do the sharing to share only the application. So that's great. That's great. And you can read the entire sentence, Ryan. I just want to check here while I'm on it. Do it now, because later never comes. I know we're running a bit long, but that's fine. So you can read the entire sentence, because for me it's showing a bit cut off, but that's via restream or via so it looks a little different. So all right, we'll trust that it's perfect. So I'm not hearing back from Ryan. All right, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, Ryan, we'll catch you another time, mate. This is very cool. And this is going to be a long thing. Yes, I mean, you see, we're on part 18 and we still only on page 47, and we're going to do the entire book series. So this might take a couple of years to get through the books, but that's okay. It's worthwhile, right?
Oh
Especially when we
yes,
get to book
we
two
are
and
enjoying.
three, right?
We are enjoying
Book
this.
one, yeah, book one, we got a lot of stuff like now with the lizards and all that. Like I said, it's a capital R reading. There's always more to extract. Look at just where Carlos says it instead of she. Just in that one little word there, we got a Morness, right? And that's what this is, part of Morness culture. It's part of what we do. It's part of what we're sharing, right? There's a lot more here, always. Doesn't matter what we do, a lot more. All right, brilliant. Thank you very much, Ryan. And let's see, Samid Araza, I'm assuming that would be correct, also joined us. So hello, Samid. That's wonderful. That'll be amazing for sure. Yes, yes. This is very cool. And again, don't anybody listening to us, don't be stressed to say, oh, I can't make it every day. All right, you can go and watch the full live. It doesn't share to Instagram for some weird reason. I can't share the live as a post. I'm sharing clips, yes, but if you want to see the entire one and watch it again, or you missed it and you want to watch it, go to YouTube. It's all on YouTube, and it's very easy to find them there. But again, if you miss, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter if you miss, because the value is in the time, in the moreness that's being extracted. The individual parts of the story, if you miss a bit, it's not really going to matter. As long as you don't miss everything, right? And you're not just coming, once in a blue moon. But if you miss occasionally, it's not going to matter. You'll fill it in. Right? So Abdullah Hashmi also joined us. Hashimi, two H's. Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying that right. How would you pronounce that, Bina? Hashimi?
Please just spell it for me.
Hashmi.
Hashmi.
Oh, okay. I thought because of the extra H, maybe you say Hashimi. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway.
No, it's Hashmi. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
We are done now.
Very good. All right, brilliant. Oh, Abdullah says I'm right. Okay, very good. Thank you. I don't mean to write. I don't care about being right, but at least I'm being accurate. I really try to pronounce people's names as accurately as possible. It's just a part of that due respect we were talking about earlier. Yes, make that little bit of effort. It's not a lot. Yes, the name is precious to the person. Yeah, so and it shows and shares that you take them seriously, right? By taking their name seriously. Brilliant, brilliant. So wonderful to see you guys all here. I love it. And again, just to repeat, if you want to rewatch the video, you can see it on YouTube because I can't share the entire post on Instagram. I don't know why. If somebody can help me, I did it 3 times and then it stopped working. I had to go to my phone and I don't know why. Bina had to drop. All right, now I'll say for Bina. And, like and share. Why? Because it trains your algorithm. It's not that we are particularly looking to get followers like most people. They're all focused on getting followers. No, this is not why we're doing this. We're doing this because it gives us joy. We like sharing. Right? That's our main reason. There are many other reasons, but none of them are the typical reasons. But when you do so with the intent to train your algorithm, if this type of thing is important to you, let the algorithm know, right? It's important to you, and you get more. And that also applies in life via emphasis and attention, right? This is part of living in attunement, part of Morness culture, is that we are training the life algorithm to bring us what we want and not bring us what we don't want, all via emphasis. All right. So share, like, subscribe, etc. Not because we're looking for this. Again, it's whether we get or not. We did this for many years without anybody was following us. Right? We don't care. It doesn't matter. Yes, there are advantages to it, but those are bonuses, not the underlying reason. So like, share, subscribe, and we typically follow back as well. I have assistants that help me in posting the clips and things like that. And the particular assistant, she will follow back, right? So we like doing that as well. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. All right, everybody, and we'll catch you next time, which will be on Sunday. Saturday we don't do any of the lives on Saturday. So brilliant. See you next time. All right, end meeting for all. Bye-bye, Norma. Bye-bye, Norma. Didn't mean to forget you, Norma. I never forget you. But anyway.